Welcome to Around the Reel with your hosts, Aaron Carlson, Charles Lawson, and Samantha Hanna. Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Around the Reel.
Ooh, welcome to Around the Reel.
Thank you. Wait, Aaron, did you hit record yet?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, then yeah, welcome to Around the Reel.
Yeah, we're on. We're live. We're live. And we got a great guest today.
We do. We have an awesome guest today.
I'm excited too.
I am too.
I got to see some of his stuff last night. It was awesome. I had a blast.
Even before last night, have you been?
Oh no, yeah, the other one we did. And we're gonna say his name right too.
Oh,
then you guys go ahead.
You can go ahead and tackle that.
Watch this. Henrique Couto.
That was close enough. I would answer to it in public.
Oh, holy shit! Yeah.
So how far off was he?
I accept Henrique, but generally it's Henrique.
Henrique.
But I would never. No, but sincerely, I would never correct anybody who said Henrique. I consider that pretty much the same ballpark.
Okay.
And it's my name, so I get to decide.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
No, it's pronounced an Eric. Fuck off.
That's right. Stupid.
That's one of my favorite jokes when people are reading my name and they just look completely and utterly confused and terrified. They're always like, "How do you say your name?" And I always go, Steven.
Well, you know what's cool though? He's got like a badass name. Like I was going to talk about it. I mean, that's what's cool. Fucking great. Like I've got Aaron Carlson.
Yeah, it's really
director.
Gay.
Aaron Carlson.
Super gay.
Director. Look, Henrique Couto. You know what I'm saying? That's some badass shit.
I actually thought it was like a stage name, like thing that you.
A lot of people think that.
And you were actually born with that name, right? So you were given that.
I was born and then immediately given that.
Right.
Oh shit! Right. It's a boy.
Okay, let's make something up real quick that's Portuguese.
Super cool name though. I mean, it's unique.
Yeah, it's
Thank
great.
you. Yeah, I've been accused of having a stage name a lot.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite early reviews, it was for my third film, Bleeding Through. The review actually at the end said, Henrique Couto is quickly becoming one of my favorite foreign directors. And I was like, I'm in Ohio, but that works for me. I mean,
awesome.
If you're digging it.
I've been to Ohio. It's almost a third world country.
It could be foreign. I mean, depending on how you look at it.
Wait. Are you in Oregon? You just made fun of Ohio when you're in Oregon?
We're not in Oregon. I was in Oregon. You're talking about my vacation.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Wait, I want to make sure something clear. We're in Washington, and my mom is from Ohio.
Oh, shit.
What part of Ohio?
Portsmouth.
Where's that near?
Yeah.
Nobody fucking knows.
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
We're all confused.
It was a tiny town
near a mine.
It was not mine. It was a milling town. And my mom's dad, we had a family coroner business, so that's how fucked up I am.
Oh, that's right, you guys did.
Yeah, we're a family morticians.
That's
I
right.
did not know that about you, Chuck.
Then you don't fucking pay. You didn't pay attention to episode fucking 5, 7, or 12.
That's why he's so creepy, man. He's
Are you
creepy.
serious though?
Yeah. I forgot about that.
I didn't know. I didn't pay so much
his family
attention.
they were around all the morgue dead folk.
I love that.
My mom played, forgive me for a second, my mom played hide and go seek with her friends every time they came over, and she hid in a casket because she knew that nobody would ever open one to find her.
Oh no. That's disturbing, and I can
That's
see
fun
why.
though.
That's a life hack right there.
Yeah,
That's
like
how
I got
you
the
win hide and go seek.
heebie-jeebies. Yeah, that is a life hack.
I win.
Yeah, you can go ahead and take that win.
Well, let's talk about Henrique.
We want to talk about you.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Yes.
So you're a badass filmmaker, buddy. You do a lot of cool, like, genre old school shit when I'm watching it, and I'm like, God, this is fun. It brings you back to sleepaway camp and all kinds of fun shit.
Yeah.
I guess the first question, which you probably get a lot, is how'd you get going in your filmmaking career?
Man, it's a wild question because I'm in my mid-30s now. So I'm in that position where I'm like, whoa, stuff I'm talking about, it's like 20 years ago. It blows my mind though, because when I was 14, when I was 12 years old, it all really started when I was 12 years old. I was the youngest independent producer at my local cable access station.
Okay.
So I was this little tiny kid because they had no age limit. So I show up and I start doing these little shows and editing them SVHS to SVHS through an Amiga 2600 for graphics, because it was right before nonlinear editing became vaguely affordable. Like it was right before you could edit a movie on like a $4,000 setup, which now is very expensive.
Right.
But back then it was like, whoa, wait, you're telling me with a $3,000 computer and $1,000 worth of stuff, I can almost cut HD? What is HD? That was exactly what it was like in 2002
Yeah, that is pretty
or
much
2001. But I was, doing my little TV shows. But the crazy thing was back then, cable access, it's changed a lot. But back then, our access channel was just channel 23 on cable.
Okay.
So I'd make these stupid skits and I'm a child. And they would just be on television, not on channel, 187.6, or channel 995, but just channel 23. So people would be flipping, trying to get away from the religious channels to get to the good stuff again.
Hell yeah.
And along the way, they just see this spastic kid doing some weird show.
So it's like Wayne's World almost.
There is an urban legend, never been proven, that Wayne's World was based on a cable access show done at the station I started at.
Okay.
No shit.
Because there was a show called Andy and Pat's Groovy Cosmic Love Hour, which was just these two goofy dudes who would show music videos and do skits. And it was a really funny show. And it is a little like Wayne's World, except they were both kind of like proto hipsters, not really like rockers.
Right. Okay.
But there's a claim because Dayton, Ohio, where I'm based, has a huge comedy club. It used to have a giant one called, it had a Wiley's and Joker's comedy club. So famous comedians were always in Dayton, and 2 by 2, because we had two huge comedy clubs. So people were always like, you're telling me that one of them wasn't sitting in that hotel room bored the 4 days they were stuck in Dayton and didn't watch Andy and Pat's Groovy Cosmic Love Hour and end up coming up with Wayne's World.
No
so that's
shit.
a claim. I have no way of knowing if it's true, but yeah. And it turned into people thinking that they were inspired by Wayne's World. I used to run crew on Andy and Pat's Groovy Cosmic Love Hour because it ran like into the early 2000s.
Okay.
And people would call in and be like, are you guys in your basement and stuff? It's like, oh, no.
Man, that's fun. So you got in there as a kid learning some stuff and got a freedom to just kind of play around and have a good time. So did you tell like all the kids at school and shit what you were doing, like you were a badass or something?
Oh, I was like, I had flyers. Every time I found out when my show was going to air, I would hand out these little flyers, these little flyer bills.
Okay.
And I'd be like, hey, kid in school, would you watch this and then tell me I'm gay? And they'd be like, yes. So
do I have to watch it first?
Yeah, usually they could just cut to the chase right away. They were really good about that. Very efficient.
Kids mostly are.
But it's just crazy looking back at the amount of like feedback I got because there weren't as many channels and it was right in the middle of the actual cable.
Wow.
So it was a crazy time, but that was kind of my education. Also, I got a very early toughening of my skin because I did the one thing you really shouldn't have done in my situation, which is I put my email address on the show so that I could get lots of people telling me all about my sexual orientation every day.
Oh, yeah. They hated your ass, right? That's funny.
God.
No, that's
it's
perfect.
not like the shows were good. I was 12 years old.
But,
you get what you pay for. It's free.
So sad.
But we talk about that on our show a lot, being filmmakers like you are, we've got stuff out there and you got to have a thick skin like you're talking about. And if you don't, you don't even try this shit. I mean, you can't do it. You really
can't. At this point, even though I can definitely be hurt by words, I'm still a human being.
Of course.
If I get like a lot of hate, I get very excited because it means that I must have reached a really broad audience.
Right.
Honestly, though, they watched
Yeah, because I had my first movie to ever play television was a family Christmas comedy called A Bulldog for Christmas, and it sold to television in England, and not just any television. Like it was on the Sony Movie Channel, which was bizarre to me that it was like on a mainstream cable channel.
Right.
And that first Christmas they were playing it every 2 days.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And I was just getting like all of these like comments on IMDb from British people saying like, please kill yourself. I hate your movie and all this stuff. And I'm just, and I had to fight the urge to just reply and be like, get braces, like
just right back at you.
But what that really made me realize is, holy crap, a lot of people are clearly watching this over there because a very small subset of them would take the time to tell you anything positive or negative.
Right.
So yeah, it's a double-edged sword, but yeah, usually if I'm like, wow, this is getting a lot of hate, I'm like, nice.
Yeah,
No,
because that's the thing about it, though, is you're getting that hate, but they're getting it from where? Because they watched your stuff, and that's all that really matters. So it's like, you know what? you take the time to make a bad review or whatever, that's time you took on me. You care about me.
Well, I have a rule that any negative criticism, especially like on places like YouTube, social media, I have a rule. I simply thank them for watching.
Yes.
And
Honestly.
that's all I have to say.
Seriously.
You know, if they hated it, I just say, well, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch it.
That's
Honestly.
exactly what you do.
That's being cool about it.
That's what you
Super
do,
cool.
right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if
I
they actually
try.
had to rent it to give you the review, then I always say thank you for the $5 anyway.
Yeah, that too.
I just cry.
I don't care how they
I
got
just
here.
cry.
I'm just glad they arrived.
That's right, that's right.
You know, if they're really nasty, I just ignore them. But sometimes when they're really nasty, it's even more fun to just slit their throat with kindness. You know,
Right.
just kill them with kindness.
They don't even know what to do.
Aaron is oblivious. He, you know,
No,
you
I
might
know.
as well.
Yeah, what is he talking about?
Yeah, kill him with kindness. No, Aaron's a
So
fire with fire type guy.
Aaron, kindness
Yeah,
is that act of being kind.
Well, no, I just start trolling them back.
I like how you had to read that off of the screen, right? You're like,
Oh,
wait
yeah.
a second.
No, you find it. Yeah, I'll find the motherfuckers. That's what I do. If they fucking leave me a bad review, I'm like, all right, bitch. Okay, I got you, and I'll fucking stalk them
do
on
not.
Facebook. I'll
You
figure
do
them out where
not.
they fucking live. Yeah, I'll
The way-
find them.
the-
I'll
the
be
way I
like Jay
look
and
at
Silent
it,
Bob,
it's
and I'll go to
I
their fucking
already
house
work
and beat
hard
their
for a
ass.
living, so I'm already like depressed and angry. So I don't need them to. I don't need to tell them further how depressed and angry I am. You know, I've directed 16 feature films. Clearly, I got stuff to work out.
No
so they already are starting to figure it out. So I'm just gonna say thank you so much. I'm gonna go wipe my tears with a McDouble. and we'll.
I freaking love you. I
he's a
totally
badass.
love you. You're so fun.
By the time you hit distribute and you send it out to the planet, and then you sit there and you watch it a couple times now that it's all done, it's not on your screens with all the mats and all the crap and everything you're looking at. By the time you put it out there, you already look at it again and you're like, fuck, I should have changed that before I sent that out.
Yeah,
Damn.
that happens.
I mean, you do it to yourself all the time.
I've pretty much abandoned the desire for perfectionism as time has went on, because what I find is the system that works for me. I have like a lot of anxiety, and it's kind of like, you ever read Murder on the Orient Express? How like the investigator in that book, he has like incredible OCD, and that's why he can investigate everything. But he's like, so I'm an incredible investigator, and every day is agony because I can't like eat my sandwich if it's not cut properly. I can't, he's got a miserable. That's the way I feel. It's like, well, when I sit down to relax and watch a movie, it's really hard for me to focus. But if you give me 18 problems on my movie, I will solve all of them. Right. I have to. So what I found is the secret for me is like, I gotta be excited about the abandoning, the pushing it into the world and saying, well, nothing more can be done. Peace out. And that's become my addiction, because that's when I get that relief, for like the 8 minutes before I start the next movie.
Correct. Yeah. Well, babies all grows up. You got once you put it out there like that, it's on its own. You let it live its life.
Yeah, well, for me, there's only so much humiliation that you can feel as a person. I mean, there's only
I don't
so
know if
you
there's
get to a
ceiling
certain
on
point where you're just like, whatever.
Yeah.
For me personally, but I live in a world of humiliation, so that's different.
We know that you live
I
with
walk
Aaron.
around
so
humiliated
I mean,
all the time. Exactly. Say no more.
These guys, they love me. It's fine. Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, I got to ask you a question. So Aaron will drop 287 F-bombs in a movie.
Yeah.
Even if I try and make it faith-based. My question for you is, I see that you really enjoy the female form.
Yes, that's the best thing.
Yes, let's talk about that
We
a
love
little bit.
it. We love it. We want to talk about your boobies.
Yes, that's great stuff.
Not his. I don't want
Not
shit.
your boobies.
I don't want to talk
but
about his boobies.
Your boobies and your movies.
Well,
Your movie boobies.
but what's fucking cool that he's captured that essence of, yay, you go to the woods, you have some sex, a killer's gonna stab a fucking stake through your back while you're fucking. He's got the shit in his movies, and that's what's fucking cool. It brings you back when you're a little kid watching it, like, I was like, oh god, it was so scary when I was a kid, but at the same time, why am I excited to watch this show? That's what it feels.
I'm sorry. I mean, I appreciate that. Before you answer the question, I appreciate that one too. But my favorite one was in Nothing Good Ever Happens, when the wannabe doctor is sitting there giving a moral lesson, standing naked out of the bed, and just blah 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 blah. And I'm just like, what the fuck did she say?
Well, that's what the rewind button is for, in many reasons, in many ways. Why the rewind button's for. Well, and that's, so I've always had an attitude about not only the female form, but just in general, like sexuality and stuff like that in the movies. I'm trying to think of exactly how to start, because the rampant nudity has eased up because the marketplace has changed a lot. When I started out, people wanted more like slashery movies. They wanted more kind of those types of movies, and it fit a little bit more. So I try not to shoehorn it in, but if it makes sense, and I mean, because I'm not going to pretend I don't like it, but with a movie like Nothing Good Ever Happens, one of the points of the nudity was to kind of, I guess, push the idea that like we all, whether we want to or not, we all make assumptions about characters based on their actions that really in real life wouldn't affect at all that character. Like in a movie, you may see a girl pop her top and you're like, oh, she's a bimbo. In real life, everyone takes off their clothes at some point. Literally everyone. True. You can be a rocket scientist and I guarantee you're naked under those clothes.
Right.
I know it. Yes. So,
and the nerds pop their bras the best. I'm just saying.
But so that was kind of a point, because I remember when I did my most, kind of legendary horror movie is a movie called Babysitter Massacre. And that has the most top popping you could ever hope to see.
Right?
But I remember one of the negative reviews blew my mind because it said, you gave us this incredibly detailed, heartfelt, emotional dialogue scene, and then you just rip it all away by having her in a gratuitous topless scene the next scene. I'm like, do you understand that like you can have brains and the thingies on their chest? Like it's not mutually exclusive. It's not like there's only so much mass and it's either going to be down here or up here.
Right.
Well,
so
that
she
just
can
goes
have
to show
hopes
you.
and dreams and also have a great pair of, you know what?
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you how much of a limited realm they are thinking in.
Well, yeah. Yeah. And it's weird the way society has changed too. I mean, that's the thing, the perception, like you're talking about, like just because we show her boobs, she's got to be a bimbo. I mean, that's kind of dumb. I mean, if you really think about it, that's ridiculous. His point is well made. That's a well-made point.
Better than that.
What's that?
Anyone who thinks knows better than that.
Yeah, but they don't. That's the thing.
Oh, but they should. And if they don't, that's their problem.
Because they got sticks up their asses. That's the problem.
Well, and that was 7 years ago, and it's definitely changing.
Right.
Yeah. Because the movie I made after that was one called Haunted House on Sorority Row.
Yep.
And that one was praised by Wired.com for its feminist overtones.
Okay.
And
can see
to
that,
me, it wasn't, I wasn't trying to virtue signal or anything. It's just, it's a movie about a house full of women. How is it not going to have some feminist overtones? The women are who you're rooting for. They're who matter. So you got to make them, kick butt, take names, and not be afraid to take off their tops. With that movie, that was actually one of the big elements of that movie was the lead actress when I was casting her, because it was a screenplay written by one of my regular collaborators, John Oak Dalton.
Okay.
In the screenplay, she's very, intense and has a leadership mentality. And I remember when I was giving notes on the first few drafts of the script, I was like, I need you to make her, a little bit feminine. Don't make her butch. Because then that defeats now you're saying something that drives me crazy, which is like, well, if a woman is going to be a leader, she needs to act like a man.
Right.
That bothers me immensely.
Yeah.
She can have long hair and paint her nails and still kick your ass. That's okay.
Yeah.
I've met people like that daily. So you have that. And then the other element was I wanted her to have a really positive attitude towards sex, because that's another annoying trope is like, well, she's going to be an empowered woman, so she distrusts men. Why would she? Some people, believe it or not, really like sex.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's almost like none of us would be here if somebody didn't get that urge at least once. So,
Yo, don't be painting pictures of my grandparents, man. I don't need that.
It's pretty gnarly, isn't it, Chuck?
Well, especially since they're all dead. But
Why
still.
did your mind go there?
In the morgue.
Well, I don't want to.
That's why these guys are disturbing.
No.
So to make a long answer vaguely shorter, so I found that the more I've depicted nudity, the more I've gotten an interesting perception of it. Like we had this romantic comedy called Making Out. Okay. There's one nude scene in it, and the reason for the nude scene is that you're not prepared for it. Because there's a scene, basically it's a movie about a screenwriter who has to film a shower scene for a movie he wrote in order to get the movie sold, or else he won't get paid. So he's never done this before, and he has to film this model actress in a shower. And we shot it, the way you would expect in a mainstream movie, all close-ups. You see the bare shoulders, but you don't see anything below. And then when a surprising moment happens, we just cut wide and she's just naked as a jaybird. It's funny. It's super.
You're playing it like you're trying
I
to do it. You know,
do it right.
PG-13, PG-13, PG-13.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. And then all of a sudden, and I remember when we were shooting it, I was already imagining in my head. I was like, "Oh man, this is going to be so funny because people are going to get comfortable with what we're doing, and then bam, just wide shot."
Yep. Dude, that's the best. See, this
makes
is
me
fun.
laugh to this day.
No, that's fun, but
you're
you're using this medium the right way. I mean, these are the kind of things that you're tapping into. That I'm assuming, like, you were attracted when you were a kid. Were you into horror movies? Were you into?
Oh my god! Yeah.
What got you involved in them, man? What was that one movie, that one horror movie when you were a kid that got you? Low budget, big mainstream, whatever.
That's a complicated question because, like, you know, I had the classics like Nightmare on Elm Street, and
Okay.
Evil Dead that captured my imagination. But the movie I got oddly obsessed with when I was like 12 or 13 years old was, of all things, Sorority House Massacre 2.
Okay.
It was on cable all the time, and I never went to sleep early. I was always up, and I would always catch it in the middle of happening. And it had tons of girls in 90s, but it also had this weird demonic subtext. And I just, to this day, there's something about that movie that's like a warm grilled cheese sandwich in a small bowl of tomato soup.
I got you. I get you. I know exactly what you're saying.
With the tomato soup.
Yeah. So I love that movie. And that's one of those movies that when I started really making my own movies, I was like, I want to make a movie like that.
Okay.
At least once.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make a movie like that.
See, that's
so,
funny.
That really pulled me in.
That's what I was thinking too. We all have one of those, you know, as storytellers. Like, I don't know about you, Chuck, or you, Sam, but when I think back to like a horror movie, because I like supernatural horror quite a bit. You know, that's kind of where I go. Chuck's more of the slasher guy, like you are. He could do one of the serial killer ones, no problem. I'm more supernatural, but I loved Phantasm when I was a kid. That was my fucking movie. I watched that like you watch Sorority Girls, right? Every day I put on Phantasm. There was something about it that would just creep me the fuck out. It was weird. It was all over the board. So when I tend to write supernatural horror, that's kind of where I go every time. Even our last movie, The Outrider, has those elements in it, and it's just fun shit. But it comes from a place, you know, when you were inspired by or molded by.
Chuck, what was yours?
Valentine's Day Massacre.
Valentine's Day Massacre,
okay.
badass.
All right.
The same,
Just because, same reason. It was on all the time.
See, mine was The Cube because I like that whole.
That's right.
You know, that thinking stuff. Like, you gotta really think.
Yeah, that movie's badass
I like
too, though.
really thinking.
Okay, all right.
No, that's cool though. I mean, because that adds an aspect to a horror. Like, if you have to, you know, you can't just scream and throw your hands up in the air. You gotta actually like figure out how to get out of this shit.
And that
alive.
was your thing. Yeah,
like,
that was
my thing. That was.
See, but I appreciate the boobies too, and the guy chasing them with the big old machete.
Well,
that's fun shit.
Well, who thinks when they're freaking terrified? Like, who the fuck thinks?
The person who wins.
Dude, I'd be the
one who thinks.
Dude, no, I'd be the one black guy. I'd be the one black guy that survives in one of those movies. I can think my ass off and run my ass off. Dude, I'd be no joke. Dude, I'm getting away.
Yeah, you'd pull a hamstring.
You pull a hammy, stretch a groin. Next thing you know,
don't listen.
They're swinging him into a tree by his fucking toes. Whack! Oh, sorry.
So you've made 16 films. You said earlier.
As a director, and I have a 17th and 18th in varying stages of production because things start and then they stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the way things are going right now.
Wait, what's
going
on?
16 completed and on the market. Sorry?
Now, don't you have a Western in the works? Or was that just...
It's still kind of a secret. We were able to. As long as I don't drop the name, it doesn't matter. But no, I've been shooting it's my second Western. We got 2 days shot before we realized that it was no longer safe to run production for the time being. So we're shut down for a short amount of time. How long? I don't know. And you know what? I'm just gonna love the bomb and try to live my life.
That's all you can.
Because it was just scary, you know, because every time, you know, we were about to shoot another couple of days, somebody, you know, couldn't come to set because they had contact with somebody,
right.
You know, and we were already keeping like a psychotically small set, 7 total people.
Oh, wow.
Good.
And I mean, that's everybody, cast, crew, me.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody. So it was very challenging. The other film I've been working on is a webcam style film because
wow.
you know, we don't have to get held up on that too bad.
No, not
so
really.
And the only thing holding that movie up is just the immense amount of post-production to make it kind of work.
Yeah, definitely. And you have books that came out just recently, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, I went into publishing books this year, which was not something I was necessarily expecting. So I published 2 books, one called Campfire Stories to Tell in the Dark, which is a compilation of stories by writers I met while working on my podcast, Weekly Spooky.
Oh, wow.
That's badass. Okay.
Yeah, so I've done that show for a little over a year. It's every week I narrate a new, 30-so minute story for the audience. And I met so many talented authors and so many cool people. So we did that book mostly for fun, honestly. And then as, it became more and more clear that things are not going to loosen up anytime soon and that I don't know what to do, I have been... This year was supposed to be the year of the Babysitter Massacre sequels. We financed 3 sequels to Babysitter Massacre on Kickstarter. Wow. 3.
Good for
and
you.
we got 1 into production before the pandemic happened. The other 2 were supposed to happen in May and August, respectively, which of course they did not.
Right.
So I was like, well, what can I do? I have, my series that I'm so proud of. So I started doing a novel series in the Babysitter Massacre universe with one of the writers I met doing Weekly Spooky. So the first one that just came out like a week and a half ago is called Babysitter Massacre: Daddy's Little Killer. And it's kind of a mystery whodunit. The book starts with this horrific murder of a babysitter by this little boy's mother, and you know that the little boy has been warped by it. But then the rest of the book is you trying to figure out which red herring character in the book was that little boy.
Was the boy. Got it. Okay. That's fun as hell.
That is fun.
So
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he took his time and he shifted. He adjusted for the pandemic and still maintained creativity.
Yeah. It's pretty clear that...
We talk to people a lot about that on the show, about trying to find a way. I mean, we started the podcast, because we were getting into production on our next feature too. And like you, we just stopped, our cast and crew. We just made the decision as a team to not even go past auditions. Okay.
Yeah.
So then we were like, well, we were already talked about doing a podcast. Why don't we fucking try it now? It's a great time to do it. And voila, and our show's doing really well. It's successful and it's fucking a lot of fun, because we're meeting and collaborating with a ton of people and guys like you. And oh God, we talked to a lot of people that are just amazing to get to know. But, there's a commonality that we're seeing too, that they're doing the same fucking thing. We're all kind of the same, man.
We're trying to adapt.
You got to fucking hustle.
You have to.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pivoting in this industry anyway.
I
would say that the pandemic was maybe the second worst thing that ever happened in my career.
The second worst thing? Oh, Lord, I'm afraid to know the first.
It was when Amazon Prime started purging independent content without reason.
That happened to us
without
too.
stated reason.
Yeah.
And I literally was like, I went from making a pretty good life to like facing down bankruptcy in like a 4-month span.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
All I could do was pivot. So, I can't, and it's funny because people were like, aren't you mad? And I'm like, well, of course I'm mad. But I went in to like the shittiest business you could possibly go into.
Right.
So what am I going to do? Get up in the morning and be like, oh, why is that so shitty? I'm not that stupid. And I'm not going to let myself believe I'm that stupid.
That's what I like about you. You're a hustler.
Yep.
Hustle. You hustle.
Well, speaking of which, if you want to know, I can tell you the exact moment that the hustle began, because I know you'd asked about how I started. Mm-hmm. So when cable access started to not appeal to me as much, I was about 15 years old, because there were issues with the management there and stuff like that. They were censoring things, and I wanted to make little horror movies, and they were not having those on the air. So I obtained, I eventually got a camera and I got a little computer. So I was making these little backyard movies. They'd be like 20 minutes, 30 minutes long, and just an excuse to practice throwing blood and shooting shots and editing.
We did the same thing.
And
no script,
sorry?
nothing.
And some boobies?
Yeah, no script.
Never a script.
No
never
script, no.
Never a
Improvise.
single script.
No boobies
that
at
was
15.
I would just think about it really hard the night before. I was insane.
We did the same thing with our little movies that we started. I'm right with you. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I have to interrupt for a moment, gentlemen.
Fine.
I'm sorry, but sometimes there are sub-conversations that go on while we're doing this.
Yeah, you guys are talking about tits.
Sam just made a comment about, what? How about the boobies? And I'm like, he was 15. No, there's no boobies. And she was like, oh.
Boobies at 15. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well,
15 is the prime time.
No, that would
boobies.
be a crime in every state.
Shit. I'm like, you fucking weirdos.
Really?
Yeah.
Would you want your 15-year-old daughter taking off her top?
Okay, no, but
I don't even like her making
No,
duck face
but I
on
would
fucking
expect
Instagram.
my 15-year-old son to be looking at boobies.
But being a 15-year-old boy, you know how hard it was to talk an 18-year-old girl into taking off
Don't
the top?
get all weird.
No, you
and
didn't.
stuff,
You went in the
okay?
bathroom and you looked at the Cosmopolitan and you fucking went back and watched cartoons.
Okay,
That's what
they're
you fucking
trying to make
did.
me feel weird because I like boobs.
Jesus Christ.
And
Anyway,
it's not going to work.
we were talking about movie shit.
I was talking about boobs.
In this conversation, it's the same thing.
Well, it could definitely cross over plenty. As soon as I turned 18, it pretty much started crossing
that
over
can happen,
immediately.
too. Yeah. Anyway,
But
continue.
the first thing, my instincts, the first thing I did when I had my first little movie was I got a cover box put together and I authored DVDs. This is now 2002, I think.
Okay.
And I was walking the halls of my school selling these copies
Hustle.
for $3 or $4 each. And then I started doing conventions because I had friends who had tables because I was too young to buy a table. But they'd give me like a corner of their table. I could put like 3 movies on the table. But unlike them, I would stand at that corner for 8 hours straight and talk to everyone who walked by until they
That's
bought
that
one.
hustle right there.
So that was the legitimate beginning of my career. When I realized that you got to be able to sell a movie to somebody if you want to be able to sell movies to lots of people. You got to be able to sell it to one person, which is much harder than selling it to a crowd.
And ultimately, you're
right.
selling yourself, really. I mean, that's what you're selling.
Yeah.
If you can get people to love you, you can get people to be interested and engage in your movies and your podcast and whatever you're doing because they love you. So
And that's something that started, just about in 2005 was when we started to shift away from company names and more into who is the person behind this.
Right.
We started seeing that really, especially in music about 10 years ago when all of a sudden it was like, no one was talking about record labels anymore. They were talking about like that performer. And that performer, and those performers were like, do I even need a record label anymore? Everybody knows my name.
Right.
They don't know
Yeah.
the record label name.
Right.
So that's why I never, I have a production entity that I own, but I never promote it because it's just me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it literally is just me anyway. So I promote me because, every day I wake up and somehow I am still me. So
Yeah, that
it's
probably
a
is
very
good thing.
easy
What you
gift.
do?
If you wake up and you're somebody else, I'd like to record
Well,
that.
I mean, I'm waiting
We'll
for that
make
to
a movie
happen.
out of it.
I'm waiting to wake up and be Scott Bakula.
Dude, that's a good one. Dude,
I think he says you got to get a 17th movie wrapped before you can leap.
I woke up today feeling like William Zabka, though. Yeah, Cobra Kai shit.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Badass.
He's too young. Hopefully he's not on the same kick as
He
everybody
knows
else.
Karate Kid. Yeah, what's wrong with your dog?
I know. Why is your dog barking
Somebody's
crazily?
here, somebody's not here.
Yeah, don't mind the dog.
The dog. Yeah, don't mind the dog.
She always
Are
has
you
to
a
be on
fan
the show.
of the show Cobra Kai?
Oh my God.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, well, you
All right, I'm going to
are-
go check on the dogs. Go ahead. You guys,
So me and
Aaron,
Chuck
you guys
can-
have a minute.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's one of my favorites, dude. Yeah,
It
January
blew my mind.
blew mine too, man.
I was not ready for it to be a great show and a great nostalgia run at the same time.
Right, exactly.
I was impressed that they could make me care about the new characters as much as the old characters by the end of the second season. I was very surprised.
I'm right with you.
I caught that right when Netflix dropped it because I'd never seen it on YouTube.
Neither
much like
did I.
Pretty much every human being, and I was shocked at how good it was and how addicted to it I was at a time when I really could use something to binge watch anyway.
Yeah.
Did you watch it on YouTube, Red, or did you wait?
No, he waited till Netflix. Like
Oh,
I did.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I wasn't listening because I was
it's
paying
Dealing with the
attention to
dogs
the
now.
dog here.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but no, we're having a good conversation about fucking Cobra Kai, and his goddamn dogs have to fucking.
Well,
Anyway,
I'm amazed my dogs haven't barked. They bark
you'd
at every
have-
single thing on the planet, but they're being
wow.
oddly quiet right now.
Yeah, I
well,
haven't
because we're
heard
talking
your
about cool
dogs
shit.
once.
Yeah, these dogs are
These dogs are crazy.
Chuck's white dogs, white people dogs.
Oh my God.
Anyway, dude, yeah, Cobra Kai. It's amazing. I fell right for it, man. I saw the trailer when it was out on YouTube, and I was sitting there like, God, I want to watch that. But, it was on YouTube Red. I'm like, I'll wait.
Okay,
And
enough
then-
about Cobra
Dude,
Kai.
that shit came out, dude, and it just gets you. You guys are missing it. These fuckers have not watched it.
We should play a game
excuse me.
that's fun for all of us, right?
I did watch the
Henrik?
first episode, and it didn't catch me enough.
Henrik, you want to play a game?
Get it.
Oh, I mean, well, usually when I hear that, it goes horribly awry.
No,
but I'm going to say
it's-
yes
it's
anyway because I
great.
always pick the thing that makes my stomach feel funny. So
Yes.
let's play a game.
love
Okay,
it.
game time.
Yay.
What's the game, Sam?
Okay, so Urban Dictionary game. You know the Urban Dictionary,
The
right?
Urban
Oh,
Dictionary.
yes.
Oh, yes.
game.
Okay, so all I do is I tell you, I just pick something out of the Urban Dictionary, and you try to guess what that might mean. You ready?
Simple.
I'm ready.
All right,
It's dirtier
let's
than
do
you
it.
think it is.
I played
It
it
could be
before.
dirty. It could not be. You never know.
I'm fucking
But
winning
These
this
guys
today.
mostly go to dirty places, so
That would be fun.
Gotta activate my millennial powers.
You know
form
what?
of
That's
a
actually an
dipshit.
unfair advantage. No, he's correct on that. That's an unfair advantage. Anyway, because I'm old and like I don't know this crap. Remember our last guest,
Yeah.
Naomi, when she just spit it like exactly what it meant. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that isn't fair.
Fucking millennials.
Like us
No, what
old
was it?
people don't know what this Urban Dictionary.
What
shit
wasn't
actually
fair was that you gave her. You said her answer was right. You didn't give her a chance to guess.
Well,
That
we could have
wasn't
guessed
fair.
it right off
But we
the
could have
bat.
even agreed with her. We didn't even get a chance to agree. Never mind. That was
Okay,
last week.
anyway.
New show. Henrique, let's do
So-
this, buddy. We got this.
This
All
is
right.
the family
I'm
we
ready.
have.
All right.
So I got 2 of them for you guys.
2 words.
And they're kind of like, deceiving. So think about that. That's a hint. That's a free hint that I just gave you. Pre-poll. What's pre-poll?
Pre-poll?
Yeah, you want to go first? Pre-poll.
The guest always goes first.
Pre-poll.
Pre-poll.
Pre-poll. What is pre-poll?
Pre-poll. I've never heard that phrase before. Of course. Pre-poll.
I've got it.
Can you spell it?
Yeah.
I'm not going to look it up. Here are my hands.
Pre-P-U-L-L.
Oh, pre-poll.
Yes, yes.
Oh.
I thought she
you
was
said
saying
poll,
pre-poll.
too. I know.
I like that didn't actually help me, though. It just was like, oh, pre-poll. I don't know what that is.
I'm still got nothing.
A pre-poll. Yeah, I don't know.
Aaron, what do you think?
Masturbating before I masturbate. Pre-poll.
No.
I pre-polled my
No.
poll. That's
No.
good.
No.
No?
Chuck?
I mean, the only thing I do, if you say pre-poll, the only thing I think of is like, you ever walk over and grab something and give it a quick tug to see how heavy it is before you go to pick it up?
No.
So I call that a
testing the weight of
pre-poll.
it.
No. I figured you do that with your balls all the time, though, because they're so heavy.
Wow. He sits on them.
That's the one thing she remembers from episode 2, 5, and 12.
Ding, 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 ding.
Well, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so pre-poll.
Pre-poll.
So, Chuck, you're the closest on that one, I would say, because pre-pull is the act of pulling at a door handle while someone at the same time is trying to unlock it. When you go to get into the
Very
car and you're
Seinfeld-y.
pulling
I
on
like
the door.
that.
Yeah.
All right,
And then
pre-poll.
they can't unlock it because you're pulling on it and you can't open
I
it
gotcha.
because they're trying to unlock it. Yeah. That's pre-pull.
Fair enough. All right, fine.
All right.
I like jerking off better, but whatever.
Okay.
Don't you always?
That's a t-shirt.
I know. Yeah. That is a t-shirt. He'd wear it too. That's what's sad about it.
Bro.
All right, guys. You got to know this one. Come on, guys. Don't let me down.
Okay, we got you. Go.
Pissing in the wind. What does that mean? Pissing in the wind.
Oh, I mean, I've heard the phrase "pissing in the wind." I mean,
Okay,
it means
so?
it means doing something that it's like yelling into the void. You're basically accomplishing nothing.
Yeah. It's like putting perfume on a pig. It doesn't matter. Ice skating uphill.
Okay.
You're just going to sit here and just keep giving analogies?
You agree with
I
that?
love those.
Well, I have to say yes because that's the only way that's been known at. But this is the Urban Dictionary, which was written by millennials, and that phrase goes back to the fucking 1940s. So
Right, but maybe they're trying to save it.
Millennials
I would
can
hope,
sometimes be kind
I would
of
hope that
smart.
they would save it. So yeah, that's the same thing as like Henrik said. It's just just shouting to nobody and just
Okay.
wasting your breath.
So you guys are all absolutely right. It is engaging in pointless activity. So yeah, you guys got that one right.
Good job.
I
Yeah.
did. I thought that one would be harder, but it was harder for me because I can't actually piss into the wind.
Right, I got you. You thought you were going to
Sounds
throw
like
us off
loser
with
talk
that.
to me.
Like I don't understand.
Unless it's one of those low blowing winds, like when Marilyn Monroe.
Okay, don't get weird. Don't get weird.
Just excuse me. You could easily piss in the wind. All you have
I
to do is
honestly
piss off.
can't.
Yes, piss off a bridge.
Okay, well, I've never
The
done
wind comes
so.
up.
Now
So
that
I
Sounds
don't-
like an even better figure of speech.
that's
Why
what
don't you
I'm
go piss
saying.
off a bridge?
I
Piss off
pissed
a
off a boat. Does that count? Does that count?
I don't know. I pissed
counts
off a
for
guy
some.
who was as big as a boat.
I could. I think pissing off a boat counts.
We're not talking about pissing off. We're talking about pissing
Piss.
on.
Don't piss off. Don't be.
Or
We're not talking about
pissing
pissing
in.
off. We're talking about piss off.
I don't
Urban
know what we're
Dictionary
talking about,
game.
so, yeah.
There it is. No joke, you guys. Thank you. Hey, I got one right though.
So that was the music ending right there. Just so you know,
Yeah,
Henrik,
but everyone
there's
got
little
it right.
quirks that we have in their show that Aaron
Yeah.
always adds in. So that would be everybody going, oh.
Yeah, he'll
Maybe.
add in all these.
I'll add
weird,
something for
like,
Henrique this
yeah.
time. Some Couto.
You're gonna keep.
He's
calling
still got a
him-
badass
are
name.
you gonna
He
keep?
loves your name so
You're gonna keep
much.
calling him Henrique
He
though.
said it like a million times.
Yeah, I'll probably stick with Henrique.
That's
I don't
fine.
know.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I love that name. It's good. It works.
It's a
Works.
good name either way.
So, buddy,
Thank you.
So one thing I know, so with all those films that you've made, you've got all these things distributed. They're out there in the market. You keep making them. And for what I'm guessing is that you make a living with your creativity. Is that true?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so how did you make that jump? When did you know that was a good step to take? And tell us a little bit about how you made it happen.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank
So
you.
I was making movies, dutifully, as I had said, in high school and stuff like that. So eventually it grew to the point where when I was 18 years old, I was at conventions with my own table promoting my own movies and all that stuff. And I made my first feature, which was a vampire comedy called Marty Jenkins and the Vampire Bitches. And I was promoting that thing so hard. And I got contacted. I was actually at a convention selling, and a representative from this company called Alternative Cinema, Pop Cinema, came to me and basically said, you're good at this. Would you like to come and work for us as an intern? And I was like maybe 4, 5, 6 months into being 18, maybe even a little younger than that.
Oh,
and I was like, yes. I didn't even ask where they were based out of. I just said yes.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm fucking going.
So it turned out they were based in northern New Jersey, just outside of New York City.
Okay.
And which was about 10 hours from where I live. So a drive, a long drive, but not an impossible drive. So eventually I moved out there and I became a full timer. So I worked in distribution with them, worked there for about 3 years. And I was a bit frustrated because I wanted to make movies, and I was working in the business. I was getting to travel and network and meet lots of people, but I wasn't making movies. I was, just making a living. So I left that company and went back to making movies and, working whatever job. But one of the big benefits of having that job was they ended up being the first company to license a film of mine and push it into the national market.
Oh, wow.
That aspect.
That's cool. That's good.
And it's amazing how, if you have a boss that you get along with pretty well, how much respect they give you when you leave. When you're willing to leave that job. It was like a month after I left that job, we went from like a boss and an employee to like friends and colleagues very quickly.
I don't know what that's like. I've had some pretty bad experiences.
The only good boss I ever had, because we're getting to the really bad boss really fast.
Oh, no.
Okay.
We want to hear about
everything's
the bad boss.
balanced.
So I had a movie come out and then I had another movie come out. These were all, released nationally. And this would have been 2008, 2009, 2010. So there was still a decent DVD market and the VOD was still we were feeling it out. But I remember just being shocked because I was having movies show up in like FYE and Suncoast. And then more shockingly, I was having royalty checks show up, which was startling. So I kept doing what I was doing. I was working at the mall, then I was working at a movers, then I got a job at a television station. And I stayed there for about 3 years, 3.5 years, something like that.
What'd you get a job doing there?
Sorry?
What were you doing there at the
I was a general production person, so it was actually community access, like where I started when I was younger, but I was working there, so I was helping people make their shows and teaching classes and stuff like that, which I'm a horrible teacher because I have no patience. So and I would open the class with that. I'd be like, just so you guys know, I have zero patience. So if you mess up, I'm gonna walk out of the room for a minute and just be mad at you, and then I'll tell you how to fix it. Because come on, but. I mean, we were teaching people how to use Avid who had no computer knowledge at all.
Right. Yeah.
No.
And Avid's already stupidly complicated. Yeah. I don't like it. But
I hated that thing.
So I got that job and I totally skipped over. I mean, I dropped out of high school to go and make movies anyway. Okay. I never did graduate. I just went straight into that internship in New Jersey and then came back and started working.
That is bravery.
It is.
I was told by everyone but my mother that I was ruining my life.
Oh, you know what? That's it right there.
Mom got your back though?
Yeah.
Mom was scared. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, my mom was kind of like, well, the most important thing is that you be happy and then also pay the bills. They have to be leveled like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm very lucky because a lot of people aren't taught to be happy. But my mother taught me like your happiness matters. And I was like, well, the only way I'll be happy is to go into the most stressful and frustrating career imaginable.
Yeah.
Funny.
Let's make some movies.
Are you ADHD or what?
So basically, yeah. So I dropped out of school, and then it never held me back. In fact, the last job I ever held required a high school diploma. I just never filled out the application. I just talked my way into the job.
Oh my god!
So that I never had. And the best part was, in the interview, he even asked. He was like, "Where'd you go to high school?" He didn't ask where I graduated. So I said where I went to high school, but I never graduated from there.
Hey, Lion, I went there.
Yeah.
So,
I love it.
And I had that job for 3.5 years. I bet the guy still doesn't. Well, the guy doesn't know his ass from his elbow, but I'm sure the guy still doesn't know I didn't have a high school diploma. So to kind of speed it up a little bit. So I start making movies, and there were two big moments. Okay. There was a comedy I made called Depression the Movie, which was the first non-horror movie I did. And it was a movie I made out of frustration. I wanted to make a movie that I liked, that spoke to me, because I was feeling tired of all of the bullshit. I had producing partners on other movies who were just assholes over like $500. And it's so funny because back then it was so much money, and now I look at it, I'm like, I just put that motherfucking shit on a credit card. Fuck that guy. That guy's an asshole. I'll pay 27% interest and I have to deal with him.
Right.
But back then it was like, it was impossible to imagine, like, oh, where would I ever get the money to make this movie? So I had people who were buying in very little and demanding so much that I almost didn't want to make movies anymore. Yeah. So I made Depression the Movie with just my own money out of my pocket.
Good for you.
And the moment that I was done with it, it was entirely self-distributed. I sold 200 copies in 2 months off of my own website and individuals. It paid off all of my exorbitant debts from years of trying to make movies. Wow. And that was when I started to go, like, maybe this isn't the undoing of my life. Maybe this is my life.
Right.
For once, I felt that way. So then I got a call, no joke, like right after that, I got a call from Alternative Cinema, who had distributed 2 of my movies and done okay with them. And they just called me up and said, so we saw your new movie that you're selling your new movie. That's really cool. So when are you going to make something we can sell? So, and that was the birth of Babysitter Massacre.
Oh, okay.
It was the first film I ever made that had distribution already locked in.
Before you even
and it was financed by Alternative Cinema Camp Motion Pictures.
Wow.
So I made the movie and I never stopped. I made that movie 4 months later. I made A Bulldog for Christmas. That one sold international really well. It was in Walmart. It was in Family Video. It just, and it's weird. It's like, once you start getting the attention of distributors and people like that, you get bold.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I was like, I'm going to write this distributor and be like, watch my movie. And then they go, okay. And I'd be like, what? Okay. I mean, thank you. Here's the screener. I am meant to be here. I am not a child. I am not 2 children standing on top of each other's shoulders under a coat.
Right. I'm not faking my way.
There's a misconception, I think, that people tend to forget, that when you go into a place, I talked about it last week, you can interview motherfuckers that if you go to an interview, you can flip the script on them like Johnny would in fucking Cobra Kai. You don't have to go in and be interviewed. You can interview them. And that's basically saying, if you ask for shit, you might get it. You got to fucking talk. You got to say what you feel and what you want. Just don't settle for shit.
Well, and sometimes it's very hard because, there's always the saying, like, fake it till you make it. It's not actually that easy to fake it. But once you have by the time I was making like bigger distribution deals, I already had like 5 movies released nationally, internationally. Yeah. So I was not afraid to negotiate because I knew that I could do it.
Right.
So once that seal was broken, there's no putting, the magic back in the box. I was ready to talk to everybody. I mean, I've done now, looking back, things that are so ridiculous. I've done distribution deals where I walked into a building in sandals and shorts with like butterflies on them and negotiated an entire contract in a guy's office.
That's badass.
I have a question.
I just didn't care what they thought of the way I looked. I was like, look, I'm going to talk to you and I'm going to get you to like what I like. Right. And if not, I'm going to go and get another McDouble. That's my law. That's the law of life. The worst thing that's going to happen is another McDouble. That's not that bad. I had a much worse life prior. So, but to go back to the exact point. So, with selling some movies into distribution, I then started just regularly making these movies for Camp Motion Pictures Alternative Cinema. I made Haunted House of Sorority Row for them, Scare Waves, Alone in the Ghost House, Amityville No Escape. I made all these movies for them, and they just kept me working.
Wow.
And I was able to do things like, we didn't have a lot of money, but I could go to somebody and be like, well, I know that exposure pisses people off, but here's a contract that says this will be seen. Like, we know where this will wind up. So hopefully it's worth your time investment because people will get to see you act or see your makeup or see whatever. And it was fun because I got to help people build their careers along with me building mine.
Yeah.
So, but on top of that, I had my job in TV. The last year of that job, which was never full time because, fuck me, right? So I was working this job but I was going full tilt and boogie making movies. And one day I realized that I hated this job so much, but I didn't want to quit it. I not because of necessarily financial stability, but because I enjoyed the people that I was helping and I enjoyed the environment, but I hated my management. Because, people never quit jobs, they quit bosses.
They quit bosses.
So I went to my boss and I said, look, I think that I would serve you guys better if I worked here, like instead of 4 days a week, 2 days a week. And I'll give you like 2 months to find somebody to take over those hours if you'd like, because I just really think that this is the way that I can stay involved. And he made me wait a month and then he said yes. And then a week after he fired me.
Yep. That's that bullshit.
Yeah, it is that bullshit.
Yeah. He's a genitalless piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I still hate the guy.
I don't blame him.
because you know what he did? You know what he fucking did?
What did he do?
We were in a production van together after a shoot, and he gave me like a dad speech. Making movies is great and all, but you got to have something real to fall back on. It's like, motherfucker,
he did not.
Yeah.
You ain't my dad. If you were my dad, you wouldn't be talking to me. And that's the way I would like it to be, actually. So fuck you.
Yeah.
So
thank goodness. I'm going to...
Yeah, applaud you.
That's me, man. That's me across the fucking board.
Fuck
Good for
that
you.
shit.
I can't stand that shit.
I can't stand it either.
Well,
anyway, continue.
So they fire me, and I'm in the middle of production on a movie that's financed by Alternative Cinema Camp Motion Pictures. So I panicked, and then I went home and I ate a whole bucket of chicken, and then I was like, "What do I do?" And then I stopped, and I was like, "Well, for 2 years, movies have been making me money and not losing me money." That doesn't mean they're making me a lot of money, but they're not losing me money. So I was like, well, I guess this is as good a time as any, because my entire dream was to make a part-time living making movies so that I didn't have to work another job as much.
Right. Okay.
And I had this plan for like a year of like working just, the minimal hours at the cable access place to pay my rent and then trying to make all the other money. And then all of a sudden it just gets, peed on by some stupid son of a bitch. So I was like, you know what? I guess it's time to try. And I wasn't ready at all. Okay. I mean, I really wasn't, other than the fact that I just, I was like, well, then I guess tomorrow when I wake up, I remember talking to myself because I always talk to myself, and I was like, well, I guess tomorrow, usually you'd wake up and work on movies until it's time to go to work. So instead, I guess just wake up and work on movies. The end. And do that until you're too tired to stay awake anymore. And so I did that, and that first year was really scary.
I bet.
But I got through it. And, through a combination of selling movies and doing, a little bit of commercials here and there and doing whatever freelance things I had to do. And it's crazy because now I've been working for myself for 7 years. It's the longest job I've ever held. I never had held a job for longer than 3.5 years except this job.
You're in your 30s. So that's good. That's amazing.
It really is.
I prayed to be here by the time I was 40, to be honest. And so I'm shocked that it started when I was like 28. Yeah. It feels like I was a baby then.
You're definitely a driven person. And that I have a question for you that I'm dying to know, because this kind of goes along with our last podcast too. But the point of, and so I'm asking you, how pivotal, how important was your mother's role in your confidence and your ability to go out there and take chances and get things going and just feel good about yourself, good enough to go out there and take those chances?
My mother was the best possible role model anyone could ever have.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I
My mother came from very humble beginnings. I, also had those humble beginnings. I never went without anything, truly. And I watched my mother, I watched us go from living in, apartments and townhouses to watching her save up and buy a house. I watched her work 2 jobs. I watched her, work a full-time job Then I'd get dropped off at the babysitters at 5. Then she'd go work at the mall till 10 and then pick me up when I was asleep at the babysitters. I'd watch her sell Mary Kay on the weekends. I'd watch her sell Tupperware on the weekends.
And
her attitude always was, if there is a problem, that means that by definition there is a solution.
Yeah.
That's my mother. And I watched her, pivot. My mother had me when she was just 32. She was 32, so she was a little bit older than your average, mom.
Yeah.
But that blows my mind even more, because then I get to see that, like, my mom always tells me this whenever I'm frustrated with my position in life. She always says, I didn't even know what I was good at till I was like 44 years old. That's what she always tells me. She's like, because I remember when she all of a sudden became a project manager and she was, growing in every way. And now she's a very respected and powerful, business person. And that's, my mother. And then I'm her, what she calls her wild child. When I come to visit her at work and we have lunch, everybody's staring and my mom's like, yeah, keep looking, because
I'm like, she's always been
I'm the
your
nut job of the family. But no, I believe that all of my business acumen, all of that comes from seeing my mother just never be afraid to go as hard as she could. I still remember, so vividly when our circumstances got better and better. Like, we bought a house, and then all of a sudden it was like we had, all of a sudden I could, like, I know it's silly, but like you could have a Super Nintendo and a Nintendo, and you're like, but that's the stuff you notice when you're a kid,
Right.
And I remember when I turned 18 and she gave me a car, and I literally was like, we're not the kind of people that give somebody a car.
Yeah, you're like,
what? And it was like, well, we are now, because you remember that, 14 years you watched her work her butt off?
Right.
It pays off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy, though, you being able to figure that out as a young person, to figure out how hard your mom was working, because some kids are oblivious to that and they don't even realize like how hard their parents worked to give them what they got. So that's just cool right there in itself. But I could definitely see that your mom's the driving force to,
every business decision I make, I run by her, because she's so clever and savvy. And the funny thing is, her attitude is, she's like, I just work for somebody. You clearly know how to do this. I'm like, no. What do you think of it though? Mm-hmm. Like, give me your opinion.
And honestly, she has no idea that like she's the reason that you probably are that driven and are that that go-getter that you are. And she's just like so humble. It sounds like she doesn't even know. That's cool.
No,
it's amazing.
It's completely right. And to this day, I did an interview a couple weeks back on Filmmakers on, and I ended up talking at like long length about my mother, and all the comments were just, people were like, wow, his mom, like everybody wanted to talk about my mom. And she's like super shy. A super shy person, which is funny because she's insanely outgoing. Right. But she believes she's shy, and I think if that makes her happy, I'll let her believe that. But I'll give you this. When she was at Depression, the movie was a big deal when it screened, because that was the movie that made me decide I was going to keep making movies. And it was a very personal movie, and it had stuff in it that my mom would recognize from my life and my childhood and all this stuff. And I remember when we screened it to about 140 people at a little art house theater. And when the movie was over, I was standing in the aisleway, because I can't sit when the movie's being seen for the first time. And my mother just walks up to me, and she had tears in her eyes, and she just gave me a big hug, and we're hugging and just standing in the middle of the aisle hugging. And the queue is just building and building of people trying to get out, but they can't, because we're standing in the middle of the theater hugging. And I remember I put my head up past my mom, and I just said, you all can wait, I'm hugging my mother.
Yeah.
And she's still, to this day, if I throw a crowdfunding campaign, she has to know exactly when it's going to launch, because if she is not the first person to donate, she'll be really mad.
Oh, man.
She'll be super pissed. And she was, because the last one that launched, somebody beat her to it, and she was so mad.
Oh, no. That's
so,
awesome.
no, she was an incredible example.
Yeah.
Just an example of how your plight can change.
Yeah.
That's an incredible example.
It is. And you gave me goosebumps when you were talking about her.
Definitely.
And just the motto in general, the problems. If there's a problem, I guarantee you there's a solution. Dude, that is fucking bad ass.
It's
because I've never thought of it like that. Yeah. I never have. Because there's always a way. You always come up with things you say, but how fucking cool of a mom did you? You're a lucky motherfucker.
You are a lucky
I'm the luckiest.
motherfucker.
You really are.
No,
man.
I'm the luckiest in the world, and
Seriously.
she, you know, she only wants to take mild credit, and she's totally wrong.
And
I
Because
think
that's
that
her attitude.
That's the best part.
nearly everything. I mean, my dad was kind of a charming guy, but but my mother she's smart and quick-witted and supportive. That's the biggest thing, you know. She's always telling me, like, you know, well, if you believe in that, you should do it.
Yeah.
And she, I mean, I remember growing up, I remember how outgoing she was, and it influences me. You know, to this day, when somebody does something legally actionable against me, I hunt them down and I will drink their blood. That's what my mother taught me.
She doesn't fuck around.
That's no.
No, she doesn't.
Right. That's
awesome.
fucking badass,
That's
dude.
really cool.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's just awesome, like the amount of things that you're able to do and the broadness of your abilities. I mean, you don't just make movies. You do podcasts. You write, you know, you got these books. You've got, I mean, what else do you got? Geez, you've dabbled in music, haven't you? I mean,
Yeah, two albums.
You really like have a broad area of what you can do, which is amazing.
That's awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
that's that hustle.
No,
but I mean,
it's really cool, and I love the.
Well, look what his mom was doing. She worked a
Exactly.
full-time
She
job,
was
part-time
hustling.
job. She was
She
doing
was
the Mary
teaching
Kay.
you.
She was kicking ass
You
too.
gotta work it. You gotta hustle.
Yeah, you picked up all that, buddy. You were observant kid.
And part of it was that most of my childhood, it was just me and her.
Okay,
So, you know,
yeah.
I really saw everything because she was my whole world.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when it's just you and your mom. And I was really fortunate, you know, because she was a little bit older, you know, I got to really learn, you know, from somebody who had a lot more experience, had made a lot of mistakes already, and was, you know, trying to get past the time of making big mistakes.
Yeah,
in fact, it
that's
still
important.
blows my mind when I struggle with, you know, what's going on in my life in any way. It always blows my mind to think I was 2 years old when my mother was my age.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So there's a lot more. There's a lot more to happen.
Yeah, no, seriously, that's crazy. See, I had a much different experience growing up, and my mom was only 16 when I was born. She was 15 when she got pregnant with me, so I have such a different experience.
Sure.
But I love that. I love that support and that, you know, learning. I think if my mom were to have me say, when your mom had you, it would be a different story. And that's what's crazy about life and how it works out and how you end up. But very cool. I love that. I love that so much.
That's a great stuff, man.
That is good
Yeah,
stuff.
that makes me happy to hear.
But that's
really
kind
does.
of last week we were talking to a very young girl.
Yeah,
She's
a young actress.
16, just freshly 16.
Yeah.
And we had her mom here with us, and so we talked a lot about that last week in our podcast. And so I was curious about your driving force, because you're such a driven person, if that had a lot to do with your mom. And since you brought her up, I figured, well, let me ask.
Well, again,
I can't help but bring her up.
I
really
know,
can't.
yeah.
well, that impressionable age, like we were talking about, you know, he was when you're a kid and you're sucking stuff in, you know,
It's so
whoever
important.
you're around, man,
It's so important.
you
People
pick up the shit, you know.
support your kids no matter what they do. People
Yeah.
believe in them.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
when I was saying, you know, I was going to the cable access station all the time making shows, who was dropping me off and picking me up?
mama,
Right.
You know, who was giving me $8 for lunch every time I insisted on spending an entire Saturday at the you know, the cable access station?
Yeah.
It was my mother.
Right.
Because she saw how happy it made me,
Yeah.
and she wanted me to chase that.
It means everything. It means everything. Because would you be where you're at right now if not for your mother's way? And
No.
yeah, and
No.
support.
Well,
yeah.
The
Exactly.
first cinema camera I bought, when I realized, like, holy crap, if I keep making movies at this speed, my little plastic DSLR is going to snap in half. Like, I mean, let's be real. Like, they're good, but like, I'm going to hit record like 85,000 times this year. It's going to just
It's going
turn to dust.
Eventually.
I needed something, you know, bulky, and I remember, unfortunately, it's like a vaguely sad story. A good friend of mine had passed away, and my mother had come to bring me lunch at work because she, you know, she's my mom. And we were eating, and I had destroyed my credit from making movies, and I was on the upswing, but my credit was still destroyed. And I told my mom, I was like, could I buy a camera with your credit, but I'll pay it all off before the interest.
Is that so not our conversations with our parents?
I mean, but it was like, I mean, for me, that was, maybe a $6,000 purchase, which is the entire world. But I was like, well, I have one movie being made that's financed, so I'll take this much budget from that. And I have another movie that I'm going to, I just kept thinking, like, I could pay it off in under 2 years.
Did you have it all thought out before
months.
you even presented?
Right.
Did you have it thought out before you presented?
Yeah, no, I laid out my exact plan. I laid out what my contingency was,
Nice.
and made it clear that I was aware of what the penalties would be if I couldn't pay it off in time. And
no, that's
and that
cool.
was the first big moment, because then the next big moment for me was when I needed to get another camera, and I was able to get a loan myself.
Oh, no joke.
That was crazy. But if I hadn't had that help, I don't know how I would ever. I literally the way I paid that camera off was they had doubled my hours at work. Because unfortunately, my friend who passed away worked there, and I absorbed half of his hours.
Oh, okay.
And I literally was like, well, my income has doubled, and half of my income will go to the camera. Like, the math added up. So I was like, half of my income will go to the camera. So I'll just live the way I was living, but I'll work twice as much. It's that simple, And so I mean, like, that's the level of, incredible help.
Yeah.
Support, seriously important. It's so important.
Yeah, we all need somebody to believe in us.
To believe in us.
Yeah.
Honestly,
we all do. And it's up to us to keep walking. Like they always say, someone open a door for you. You got to go through it. Well, someone's opening still the fucking door. People don't talk about that person enough.
They don't.
They always talk about what we end up doing. We walk through the door. But, everybody gets help from somebody, whether it's emotionally, whether it's giving them an opportunity, whatever it is, and
I envy people.
You just got to find a lot of people with doors.
I envy people that have support like that.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, it's very enviable for someone like me because I didn't always have that consistently. Mm-hmm. My dad was very supportive of me. And I mean, I'm talking I called him from jail and he said, "I'm so proud of you, honey." That kind of support. Like, I'm like, "Dad, I'm in jail."
That's probably how bad my mom would be. If I had a button that would blow up the planet and my mother was the only one who knew about it, you could all kiss your asses goodbye. She'd be like, well, if he really wants to do that, then it must be fine.
And you need that kind of support. Unfortunately for me, my dad didn't have it all together and he was a super alcoholic. So it didn't pay out to do me any real favors, I guess, in the long run, because he was so there and not there and there and not there.
Right.
So it was not a consistent support system. I think that consistency would have made all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And I think if, he would have been around all the time, I would have more confidence than I do now. I struggle with confidence. So I like to point out those kind of situations where you have some support, because you obviously are a very confident person. You know who you are. You're very sure about it. And that has to come from somewhere. I'm just saying. It does, point. Because I lack that. And it comes from somewhere.
But like everybody else, he has his moments. Hence the McDouble plan.
Well, yeah.
But McDoubles help a lot.
We all have our weaknesses.
Well, yeah. It's not like whoever you are doesn't mean you're immune to real life.
Oh no.
I mean, it's just how the fuck do you face it?
But how does someone get you through those? I mean, life is terrifying, and presenting yourself and going out there and taking chances is terrifying.
Yeah.
So what gets you past that? And a lot of times it's so crazy how you hear a lot of times it's somebody's support system that gets them there.
Yeah.
Pushes them through that door.
They built that
and
character.
Sometimes it's just doing it anyway and being willing to deal with the repercussions later.
Right. That's
because it's easy to look at me and think like, oh, you're so confident. I appreciate that. I consider that a very big compliment. But I struggle probably in very similar ways that you do.
Okay.
It's just I found the workaround.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, that worked for me.
Uh-huh.
And I believe that you can too. I believe anybody can too.
I do too.
It's just that we're all different, so I can't really say what to do. But I can say, like when you were talking earlier about opening the door, how do you open the door?
Yeah.
I believe that the secret is, if there's a door that's shut and you want to get through it, redefine that door until it's fucking open.
Okay.
That's the secret, because you win every battle here anyway.
That's right.
So I'll you know what? Fuck your door. That door is so shitty. I'm going to decide that door is my door, and I'm going to make that door do what I want. And it's like, well, it'll be a hard road. It's like, yeah. Life's hard no matter what you do. Fuck off.
Is.
Like, I don't need that kind of negativity. Life's going to be hard no matter what. Life is Logan's Run. There is no sanctuary.
There is none.
No.
You're
wise.
I've made a bunch of movies and I still struggle, but I love the struggle.
Yeah, because you love what you do. And you believe in yourself. Well, that's amazing. And you have taught us something. I don't know. I can't speak for these guys, but I can speak for myself. You have taught me something, and you're young. Younger than I am.
I say the same
Younger
shit.
than all of us.
I say the same shit you're saying.
You're
You just
younger
said
than
it.
all of us.
Like, she's not even listening to me now. I say the same shit, dude.
I
I
never
tell her, I'm
listen
like,
to you.
Sam, this is it. And she didn't hear me. And then you came in the fucking show, and now she's just like, oh,
Shut
God.
up, Aaron.
I agree with you 100%, brother.
Yeah,
Hear
I
it
really
differently coming from someone that you actually don't know.
That's true,
Okay?
too.
No, seriously.
No, I know it does. I
It
know.
does sound different.
It
I
is
mean,
good.
you're obligated to say nice things to me.
Hey,
Well,
wait,
you damn well better.
I ain't obligated to say nice shit about nothing.
Yeah, you are too.
Why am I obligated?
because
I
you're
didn't-
obligated.
I don't have to go
You know
home
you're
with
scared.
you. I don't want to.
You're scared anyway.
Of what? You?
Scared, bro.
Damn, girl,
Anyway.
you so skinny. You turn sideways, stick out your tongue. You look like a zipper.
I know. I could flow in the wind, but anyway.
Solid.
Oh, my God.
I
So
love you, Sam.
there's one thing I
know you
wanted
do.
to say to Henrique before we let him go. Holy shit, yeah, we're about an hour mark.
Oh my gosh, that went by fast.
Yeah, there's always this thing, when I tell people, we got a team, we got a production company, we make movies. That's what we do, and that's what we're building, and we want to make this our lifestyle. And while we're here on the planet, this is what we really want to do with our life. We want to drop the day jobs, work on films, create content, meet great people, collaborate, tell stories. I mean, that's what we want to do. But we want to get paid. We want to make money
That would be
because we
nice.
got the real world. We got bills and shit, cable
Kids
bill,
to
and you get the
feed.
cell phone bill past due. You got to pay that shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the misnomer with many when I go, hey, we make movies, people always kind of look at you weird. Because they've got this thing in them, I swear to God, where they think, oh my God, he's one of those. Like, I'm trying to go to fucking Hollywood. That's not what I'm saying. You're doing exactly what I think people don't understand. I want that to get out to not just creative people, but filmmakers, just regular everyday people. Like, if they listen to this show, it's about just making enough money to fucking live your life.
No, being happy.
Yeah,
Just
and
be
being happy with it, because I don't need a fucking Bentley. I don't need a mansion. I just want to pay my fucking bills and eat some food and make some movies.
And
That's
do
it.
what you love.
Yeah, and you can do that by with independent films. You can.
Yeah.
It's possible.
That's something people don't talk about a lot. I hate nostalgia when it comes to looking back. You always hear the fucking people, and I've said it myself in my weaker moments where they're like, if I was born 20 years earlier, I could have made, I would be getting $100,000 budgets to make whatever. And I could make, now that I know how the DVD market was, I could have made so much money if I'd been making movies in 1999. Blah, 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 blah,
Right.
blah, blah.
And you're like,
But the fact is, if ifs and nuts were candies and butts, we'd all have a happy Christmas.
Right.
So, but when I really think about it, if you look at not just filmmaking, if you look at authors, if you look at music,
Artists in general.
Yeah.
there's something that never existed before, really, and that's a middle class. There are fleets of middle class artists now. When it used to be, you were either total poverty or stinking rich.
Right.
No
And there was
kidding.
never somebody eking out, a middle class living.
You're right.
beautiful the way to put it.
But now there is, and to
Yeah.
me, I will take, a 60% chance of making a middle class living over a 3% chance of making a lot, millions of dollars, or a 3.0003% chance
Right.
of making a ton of money. I'm gonna take those odds. I'm gonna take
yeah.
those odds.
Yeah.
So it's easy to to get discouraged, and that's why there are two things that have done me well. One is remember that fun is money. People spend money to have fun.
Okay,
So
yeah.
if the thing you're doing to make money is fun to you, that is like an additional value.
Right.
Oh.
That's why I want to
now,
do this,
you can't pay
Sam.
bills with it, but it sure
Clever.
can shut you up when you're mad that you can't afford to go to the Sizzler every Thursday. or
Clever
whatever the fuck
as
people want.
fuck.
Make your own steak.
Like,
It's
you're
better
not
anyway.
kidding. That is so clever. I've never heard that said that way, but very clever.
Well,
yeah.
I've said it. I
No,
just said it
shut up,
differently,
Aaron. I
but
knew you were going to
whatever.
say that. Like, shut up.
Fucking
But, I
bullshit.
mean, fun is money, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And the no sanctuary thing is really important. Know that no matter how many deals you sign, no matter how many things you do, you're going to get up every day and you're going to try to make it to the next day. And making it to tomorrow is how you make it to a year, is how you make it to 5 years, is how, now I'm almost closer to a decade of making my living in films than I am to, 1 year.
But let me ask you
blows
something.
my mind.
Do you
Right,
worry
man, right.
about do you worry about that year or do you just worry about now?
I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say I plan and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like paying today's bills every day is how you make a year's living.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I try to take it one day at a time, just like the drunks, you know. So that helps a lot. And you know, because I've noticed that there have been many times when I've eked out just barely to get through a really hard day. And then you lift up your head and you're like, I've been doing this for 6 years. I've been doing this for 7 years. You know, so it's easy to get lost in, you know, you want to see the trees for the forest.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. So you that's the thing. A lot of it's always mentality. And as long as your passion will see you through the bullshit, you know, there have been years where I have talked to lawyers so much, and that's what I got into this business for, to be really friendly with lawyers. Oh boy! But I've had years where I've talked to lawyers so much, and sometimes I had to stop and go, yes, this sucks, but how bad does this really suck? And I'm like, you know, this sucks about 30%. I'm like, that is better than any job you've ever had in your entire life.
No shit,
Perspective,
though.
brother.
You know what? Perception, yeah.
Perception
Is so much of it. Yeah, definitely.
It really is.
You have been an amazingly awesome guest. So much fun.
Dude,
Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm so glad he could be my translator on the show.
Well, you know,
for all these fucking years I've been
Take
trying
some
to
notes. I hope you're over there writing notes.
I did take notes. I got notes down. I'm like, yeah, he ain't fucking around. I'm going to try to use some of his language.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I would like-
sometimes it's easier when it comes from a Hispanic man. It's just the racial divide.
The whole package right there.
Yeah, no one. Yeah.
I would like to remind Sam that we are recording these
I don't
videos,
give a
so
shit.
tell your face next time Aaron says something off kilter, not to sit there and like, you know.
Boy, I love those faces. Yeah, I'm used to
You
them.
live for those faces.
Yeah, and
Aaron's
I'm also
me.
used to no one listening to me. I'm a black guy. What
Yeah,
can I say?
No one
You know,
listens.
they're like, whatever, get the fuck out of here. Go make me a
all
sandwich,
good.
would you?
I don't know, but I've just started thinking
We're
about
used
the
to
idea of
each
a
other.
short, because after he made the comment about being drunks, taking it one day at a time, it's like, hi, I'm Chuck, and I'm a filmmaker. Hi, Chuck.
I'm still an alcoholic. I don't know
if
where
somebody
you
thinks that
went.
I'm drunk and I'm a filmmaker, it's like, okay, well, we need to work on this time-wasting compulsion that's ruining your life, and then we'll get to the drinking.
Oh, buddy, it's a pleasure talking with you,
Yeah,
man.
very fun.
Thank you guys so much.
You're the man,
So
dude.
fun.
So, where can anybody find your book? Where can they find your movies, man? Pitch that real quick before we head out of here.
Well, they can go to my website and find details on everything, and that is incrediblyhandsome.com.
Oh,
no
you
joke,
took that
that's
too,
my
huh?
website.
Damn it, I was going to use that. Fuck. That's fine.
So I
Taken.
snapped it up about 8 years ago and finally figured out what to do with it like 3 months after I got it. So it just goes to me, so you can find me there. And once you master the spelling of my name, I mean, you punch me in anywhere, you'll find me or people who don't speak English, and there's really no in between.
No.
Good. All right, we got that down.
Awesome.
Absolute pleasure, brother. Thank you
Thank
very,
you
very
guys
much
so
for
much.
Very
spitting the
fun.
knowledge for everybody.
Yes.
Very fun.
We learned stuff.
Absolutely.
I learned stuff.
I did too. I learned that I was right.
No.
That's all that really matters.
That's what he thinks he learns every time.
It's funny.
You need to learn better.
And having this conversation today, we all learned that we were right in
guess
one way
so.
or another.
In one way or
Okay.
another,
Aaron
yeah.
wants to push it on the fact that he was right about what he's been telling Sam. I can say the same thing. I mean, we've been telling her certain things for 15 years, and she doesn't want to believe it.
Yeah, but she's...
However, he put it in such a nice,
Okay,
way.
well, I gotta
But you know
pee,
what's
so-
even better, though? That Sam, with the mom stuff and the support.
Oh,
though,
no,
True.
seriously,
That
though,
you're
on a
right,
serious
because
level.
in a way, she is that mom to us.
I was just thinking about being a good mom to, you guys'
Twice you've
27
been
children.
So nice.
I said two nice
In
things.
one podcast, you've been nice to me twice.
I said two nice things, buddy.
And you know,
Henrik,
It's true, though.
I think Aaron's getting laid tonight.
I don't,
You got
I don't
laid
think
last
people
night.
romanticize enough being that person for someone else. It's really important and
really
it's
is.
really rewarding. That's like the thing I hope for the most, is I hope that I get to be someone's, every person I collaborate with, if they're willing to remind me, because I get so caught up in my bullshit, if they are willing to remind me that they have an art show or a screening or whatever, I'm going to be there if I can.
No joke.
Because you just need, life is full of no's.
Yeah.
So if you could just get a few yeses and keep those in your pocket,
Yeah.
you
Support.
can keep going.
You will.
Support system.
You always will.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we will be collaborating with you because you're awesome and we love you and your attitude and everything about you. So you're cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but Dayton?
Thank you.
We can work in Dayton.
Wait, what?
Dayton.
We'll cut. We'll.
Well,
we
it's
can
one
work
of the
with it.
cheapest cities in America because you're making that face, but yet it's not hard to buy a house here. I'll tell you that.
You see what I'm saying?
Not only that, but it's beautiful there. It's very beautiful.
You just go around the mine shaft and you find a fucking house.
Plus, he's there, so.
It's awesome, buddy. No, I'd go in a heartbeat.
Right? I gotta pee.
Okay,
So
I got $100. We could fly out.
All right, my man. Well, Chuck, you want to close us out today?
Well, sure. Since Sam is.
I gotta pee.
She's peeing.
Can you tell how close the studio is to everybody in here? It's like a nice little formal.
We're good.
Oh, Henrik, thank you, my friend, for joining us today. I'd say thank you for joining us with a cup of coffee and a conversation, but that's only for our guests who come here because I don't know what you were drinking, if you were drinking anything.
I mean,
there you go. Diet Coke.
Nothing wrong with Diet Coke.
Well, let's see. It's almost dinner time for you, so you can go grab a McDouble. But I do want to thank you for taking the time today to join us for this conversation. It's great getting to know everybody, and the more people that we reach out to, the more people we can collaborate with. Like I said, maybe we can't fly to Dayton, but maybe you got some voice work you want something to do, or something that we can help with. We have all kinds of things that we can offer.
Yeah.
I was told I have a face for radio, so obviously something there works.
Jesus Christ.
That was by my wife last week, by the way. There's a lot of love here, and we're going to share it, and we're all going to continue to grow and do the thing that we love the most, which is be creative, tell stories, and make movies.
That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you so much for joining us today, brother. I hope you take care.
Anytime.
All right, my man. Thank you, Henrik.
Thank you, guys. You have a great one.
I will. You too, my friend. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Remember, everybody, think hard, because you're thinking anyway.
Oh, for the love of Christ, both of you guys.
You just cut me off, though. Just cut me off.
Nobody needs to hear the old intro.
Okay, well, I'm going to cut you both off and say thank you for listening to our show. Thank you for tuning into Around the Reel.
That's great stuff. Yeah. So why did they even tune in the first place?
I don't know, but they're glad they did.
Yeah. I think it's because we're trying to inspire people.
We are.
And have fun with people.
People that are artists.
Creatives.
Yeah. People that are out there trying to make a living with their art.
That's a beautiful thing.
That's what we're doing.
They're crafty.
Yes.
So have them tune in. And how do they get on our show, Chuck?
You can get on our show by going to our website. Please visit us at cccentertainmentgroup.com. Click on the scheduling link.
I'll send you to me.
Yeah.
Sassy Sam was going to get you all lined up on everything.
I'll hook you up with a day and a time.
Sometime in 2021 or 2022, because it's filling up fast. So if you want to get on this show,
get on.
I highly suggest
get on it.
You start clicking your brains out.
Come be our guest on our show. We'd love to hear your story.
We'd love to hear it.
Make sure you come visit us on Amazon Prime and OP Prime.
Oh, yeah, watch our movie. Watch our movie, The Outrider.
Yeah, you can watch Marcus Ford kick some fucking ass.
Oh,
this was a perfectly good take until you said that.
Until you said that.
All right, well, thanks for tuning in to the show. Bye-bye, guys.